Boa noite, galera de Portugal, galera do Brasil. Mais uma terça-feira, hoje 22 de junho, e o tema hoje é Death Metal da Flórida. Mais uma vez aqui, com muito orgulho, a gente recebe o lendário Terry Butler no Heavy Culture. Terry, welcome!
Hello, thanks for having me.
Bem-vindo, Barrote, bem-vindo, Ivan.
Opa, boa noite.
É um prazer estar aqui com vocês. A pauta é Human Condition. E hoje a promoção tem que estar inscrito no canal e tem que participar até o final da live, que no final a gente vai passar aí as instruções para quem quiser ganhar um CDs, beleza? Bora, Barrote.
Ok. Primeira pergunta.
Acho que a gente
se
pode
inscreva no canal, né?
Se inscreva no canal.
Se inscreva no canal, toque o sininho, compartilhe, deixe uma mensagem aí no canal para fortalecer o canal e para a gente chegar a mais e mais gente ainda.
Legal, vamos lá, vamos se inscrever, galera. A minha pergunta, cara, é Human Condition. Cara, como é que surgiu essa ideia, né, de montar uma banda, de lançar o disco? Basicamente é para ele situar aí a gente como surgiu o projeto.
Okay, so Terry, the first question comes from JK, and it's about the beginning of Inhuman Condition. How did the band started? Why? And what led to the current project, the album that is out there, and that it's awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
And anything you would like to add about the beginning of the band's history?
Sure. Basically, kind of how it started for me was, Jeremy and Taylor were in a version of Massacre after me. And I caught wind that they had left the band, and I saw a post about it. I think I messaged Jeremy and said, sorry to hear the news, blah, blah. And, they approached me, him and Taylor, about, would you like to record bass on this? Because they had written 14 songs. Let me backtrack. They wrote 14 songs while they're in Massacre.
Okay.
With the intentions of these songs being the new Massacre record.
Mm-hmm.
And basically all parties involved gave the green light for those dudes to write the album. And then they write the album, and shortly after that, to no one's surprise, shit hit the fan, basically. So, they contacted me if I would like to put some bass on these songs. And I said, sure. I heard the songs and I was blown away. I couldn't believe that someone wouldn't want to be part of it. The riffs are amazing riffs. They're so catchy. It's like every riff you can imagine is thrown on this record. Incredible drumming. It's just perfect. It's just like a perfect slice of 1988 with all the best stuff in it, and that was the intention, because it was supposed to be a Massacre record in the vein of Massacre. Massacre has a certain sound. Everyone knows this. Death with thrash, So, so I learned the songs, put bass to it, and it's just kind of taken off, where it's just, the intentions were from the beginning, let's make this a band. And it's just taken off, and the support and everyone's just been really supportive of the record. They really like it, and it seems to be something everyone wanted to hear. The pandemic was horrible, but I think when we released it, it was something fresh for people to hear.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of it. I'm really glad that they asked me to be part of it. I think it's songs that needed to be heard, and I think they can stand on their own. You hear the word old school death metal, and some of the younger generation might say that kind of with a sour look on their face. But to me, this is what created death metal, and why shy away from it? I mean, great music's great music. It doesn't matter what year it is. So got a little sidetracked there, but they asked me to be part of it, and I said yes, and I'm glad I said yes, because it's amazing. And we've kind of approached it a grassroots kind of thing through Bandcamp, doing everything on our own, and the response has been amazing. And just want to say thank you to everyone that's purchased the record or listened to it at least. So it's a fun record to play and be part of.
Ok, portanto, basicamente a banda tinha os outros dois elementos da banda tinham já este álbum escrito com a intenção de ser o novo álbum de Massacre, mas problemas que penso que todos mais ou menos conhecem ditaram a saída dos elementos dos Massacre, e nessa altura entraram em contacto com o Terry para gravar a parte de baixo num álbum que já estava completamente escrito, mas que faltava o baixo. E ele, quando ouviu, nem quis acreditar como é que não quiseram gravar aquilo, e imediatamente juntou-se ao projeto e gravou as partes de baixo, que ele considera que está um álbum excelente. Eu concordo inteiramente com ele. O álbum está mesmo muito bom e lembra Massacre dos velhos tempos, dos bons velhos tempos, como nós gostamos de dizer, como old school death metal. Se calhar passa à próxima pergunta.
Ô Barrote, é contigo, a próxima é contigo, mas
sim.
Podia perguntar, eu queria um complemento, podia ter chamado o Rick Ross, né, cara? Pergunta aí para nós, por favor.
Por que o Rick Ross não entrou nessa banda?
Ricky Ross?
Yeah.
So Terry, why
Yes.
did Ricky Ross didn't join the band?
Well, he was just asked if he wanted to put some leads on a few songs because, you know, when I kind of joined the band, so to speak, Rick had already been asked to do the leads, and I think the guys wanted this to stand on their own without every member. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say, but they just asked him to do leads on it, you know, and maybe they kind of wanted to distance himself a little bit from that whole camp, you know, the Rick and Cam camp, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of keep that kind of drama out of it, but they asked Rick to do some leads on it, and he was receptive, and he said yes. So, I mean, that would be something more that those guys might actually be able to tell you exactly their thoughts on that. But from my perspective, I think they just wanted to keep some of the drama away from this, and because there's already going to be drama with it, because, you know, it's the Massacre font on the album. The album is the band's name is from a song, from the Massacre EP.
Yeah.
So there's already a certain amount of drama involved with it. So I think they kind of just wanted to keep it there and have that other drama kind of away, you know.
Try to forget about that.
Exactly. I mean, you know, we've all been scarred from that. I've been scarred from it 3 different times. But fortunately, they've only been scarred from it from one session. So, you know.
Okay, it was time to move on, basically.
Yes, basically.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Portanto, ele participou, foi convidado, mas acabou por participar só em alguns solos, e eles também não quiseram distanciar-se um bocadinho do historial de Massacre.
Compreensível.
Já estavam queimados, tal como o Terry disse, que ele próprio foi queimado 3 vezes durante a história dos Massacre, e também já ninguém queria ser queimado mais uma vez.
Compreensível.
Okay. About the recording process, it was on Nordberg Studio, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us more about the process, how it was? Because it was during the pandemic too, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
you know, they've had the songs, the songs basically recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was done at their studio. It's called Smoke and Mirrors, and I came in and put the bass on it, and then Jeremy put the vocals on, and Jeremy mixed it, and Taylor mastered it, and we all, you know, agreed on every song, signed off on the mixes, and we just it was approached kind of just be not overproduced, just kind of keep it as raw as we can, but audible, obviously.
Old school.
And, exactly. I mean, you know, it's bass, guitar, drums, and vocals. I mean, there's not like synthesizers and violins and chimes and all this going on. So
who needs that?
you just, just mix it. It's 4 things to mix basically, and just kind of make it kind of, in that old school vein, but yet sound somewhat modern. And so it was a fairly easy recording process. Learned the songs and went up in 2 different sessions and got the bass done. There's 14 songs. There's 9 songs on the album. So there's 5 songs kind of just sitting there for future use.
For an EP.
That or half the next album's already written kind of thing. Who knows? So, I mean, there's songs to play with basically, but it was a great experience. It was very, the studio's basically in their home. So it was a very welcoming feeling, and it was a good experience, definitely.
Okay, so how in your opinion, how is that compared to the old days when you had to book a studio, go there, practically live there for a while?
Yeah.
And nowadays you can do anything in your house. Sometimes band members are not even together to record an entire album.
That happens a lot. Yes, they live on different parts of the world, and the beauty of Pro Tools, you can put it all together like a puzzle. I mean, the old days, I was still part of that when I was in Death. You get a big budget from a label. You go to the studio. You're there for a month. You basically live in the studio. I mean, that's a great feeling in itself, but it was expensive, obviously. But technology, there's always good and bad with technology. Pro Tools came in and made it a lot simpler. So a lot of these studios had to fall in line with that. And then all of a sudden, everyone's doing it at their house. So all these studios kind of just disappeared. Everyone's got their home studios now. So it was hectic back in the day because you were putting everything on tape and you had to be super precise when you're recording. Like I remember recording with Scott Burns, and if you made a mistake or had to splice something, you'd have to get a razor out and cut it and tape it and do all kind of stuff. It was like such a pain. So in that regards, Pro Tools is awesome because you can just stop anywhere. You can put a cymbal hit in here that you miss, or you can just, some people are beyond lazy and they'll do a riff one time and just copy and paste it 40 different times and then the song's done.
Yeah, right.
But I just like to.
So what do you think? What do you think about the creativity of the musician? Do you think it's better now with all the technology, or was it better when there was no technology at all?
I don't know. It just seems like you really had to know everything when you went in the studio back in the day. Like I said, now if there's a crazy part that's just insane, and you can just slow it down and really slow and do one note at a time almost these days. So it just, but as a fan of a band, you won't really know that. You just enjoy the music, I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
So at the end of the day, that's the only thing that really counts. Does it sound good? So
that's true. Okay. As gravações correram lindamente, não foram todas feitas num estúdio que pertence ao Nordberg e que se chama Smoke and Mirror Productions. E quando o Terry chegou ao estúdio já estava tudo gravado. A única parte que faltava era a parte do baixo e a parte da voz, que foram gravadas em 2 sessões, que correram bem e não houve nada extraordinário. Depois acabei por perguntar qual era a opinião dele em relação ao que era gravar antigamente e o que é gravar hoje. Hoje, obviamente, isto acho que é comum em todos os artistas que são entrevistados aqui. Todos eles dizem que é tudo muito mais fácil agora. Antigamente tínhamos todos que saber exatamente aquilo que íamos fazer, porque era muito complicado corrigir notas aqui ou acolá. E demorava muito tempo, e além de que o tempo era dinheiro e o aluguer do estúdio não era propriamente barato, e agora as coisas são todas muito mais simples e mais fáceis. Portanto, terceira pergunta, agora se calhar passamos ao Ivan.
Eu queria perguntar para ele que os shows já voltaram dos Estados Unidos, eles já fizeram alguns shows, e como é que está a receptividade da banda e do novo álbum, do primeiro álbum, né?
Okay, so we know here in Europe and also in Brazil that some parts of the US already have shows, live shows available, and I think Florida is one of the states that already has lots of shows. And so, have you already played with Inhuman Condition in a show? And if so, what was the reception, and what did you think about the whole thing?
Yeah, yes, we did. About 6 weeks ago, we opened for Deicide here in Florida.
Okay.
Kind of a small club, intimate setting.
I think I saw that YouTube video.
Yeah, it was sold out. It was a great feeling, because, for a year and a half, basically, you've done nothing. So to get out there and do a show, it felt great. Things are starting to open up a lot here in the States. I mean, the shows are starting to happen. We have another show coming up in about 2 weeks with Gruesome and Intoxicated here in Florida at the Brass Mug in Inhuman Condition. And then we got a small tour set up starting at the beginning of September for like 10 shows in Inhuman Condition. And then I have with Obituary, we have a big tour coming up. So yeah, tours are starting to happen. Things are starting to open up.
Yeah, perfect. And what did you think about the audience reception to the music?
I thought it was good. I mean, we're a new band, obviously, and the album wasn't out yet, but we had put a single or two out, so they got to hear kind of what we sounded like.
Okay.
But they were very receptive of us, and it was a good time, good feeling. It was a great crowd. I think they really enjoyed it, and we released four videos for the album, and now the album is out, so people are starting to pick it up and getting a lot of good feedback. And we're happy about that, so.
Yeah, that's great. So continuing with the live act theme, and we all know that you have a very active role on Obituary, and you already mentioned that you are having a huge tour coming up. So I imagine that you're going to tour worldwide. And it's natural because it's a long time since your last show, I can imagine. But with that in mind, are there any plans for a world tour of Inhuman Condition as well? And if you have any plans of that, do you plan to include Europe or Brazil in it?
Absolutely. If there's time and we can fit it in our schedules, we'll play the International Space Station if we have to. We don't care.
You can go to Mars. I heard a lot of people go there now.
Exactly. We'll have a residency, on Mars. We don't care. Yeah. So, I'm an Obituary, and Jeremy and Taylor are in the absence, and Jeremy's in the Mink. So once the floodgates open and all the bands start touring, they have some stuff lined up too. But whenever we can fit it in, whenever everyone's schedules line up, we'll play wherever and do whatever we can. If that's a tour of Europe, Japan, South America, the States, Europe, wherever, we definitely want to play. The band's being treated as a band, obviously, full time, but everyone has their main band, so to speak. So whenever time permits and schedules line up, we'll definitely play shows and tour.
Okay, nice.
Lembrando que o álbum foi lançado aqui no Brasil, né? De repente, uma turnê seria uma boa pedida para divulgação, já que eles já terão o álbum aqui dentro e a divulgação corre bem forte.
Sim. Ele basicamente, sobre os Estados Unidos, falou que, como nós já temos reparado nos vídeos do YouTube que vão aparecendo, e como foi o caso daquele concerto que ele mencionou com Deicide, na Flórida, lá já vão abrindo aqui e ali, e já vai sendo possível ter concertos ao vivo em clubes pequenos, e foi nesse caso que eles tocaram a abrir para Deicide. Tem agora daqui a 2 semanas, salvo erro, se não me falha a memória do que ele disse, daqui a 2 semanas com Gruesome, também na Flórida, e depois uma mini tour pelos Estados Unidos, se assim a pandemia o permitir, esperemos que sim, e que as coisas não voltem para trás, como parece que estão a voltar aqui na Europa. E ele tem um papel, tanto ele como os restantes elementos da banda não têm só esta banda, obviamente, isto é uma banda paralela, as bandas principais deles têm agendas muito mais preenchidas, como é o caso do Obituary, que já tem, assim que forem abertas as portas, ou os portões, como ele chamou, tem uma grande tour planeada, e eu imagino que estas bandas estejam com uma sede de tocar ao vivo incrível, e que a primeira vez que assim que tiverem a oportunidade de tocar, devem de certeza começar turnés de 1 ano, 2 talvez, e sem parar. Portanto, ele, claro, a prioridade é o Obituary, a prioridade dos outros também são as bandas respectivas onde eles tocam, as principais. Inhuman Condition tem planeado, não propriamente datas, mas é a intenção deles tocar pelo mundo fora, incluindo a Europa, Portugal e Brasil, obviamente, assim que tal for permitido e as agendas deles já estiverem livres dos compromissos com as bandas principais. Portanto, vamos todos esperar que isso aconteça o mais breve possível, porque eu falo por mim, eu estou com uma vontade enorme de ir a um concerto que já nem sei o que é isso, que eu já não vou a um concerto há mais de 1 ano. Portanto, próxima pergunta, penso que é o JK, correto?
Sobre o álbum aqui, é importante salientar, né? O Ivan comentou, o álbum já foi lançado no Brasil pela Rapture Records aí, né? Que gentilmente, né, Ivan, nos cedeu os CDs aí para nossa promoção. Se liguem, né? Até o final aí. Então, para quem quer adquirir o álbum que não foi sorteado, tem aí o site da Rapture Records, né? Vão atrás, que realmente é um trabalho bem bacana, e é isso que eu quero perguntar pro Terry Barrotti. Assim, ó, é old school, como ele vem falando aqui pra gente, né? São 9 faixas, 32 minutos. Como ele conseguiria trazer para nós, assim, um pouco do resumo dessas 9 faixas? Como é que ele pode fazer um overview do álbum? Né, de uma maneira bem genérica, e se ele poderia elencar para nós algumas faixas prediletas, enfim.
Okay, so JK was mentioning that Inhuman Condition's debut album is also being released in Brazil by a national label in Brazil, and by the way, they are offering 5 copies of your CD to our listeners today. And so
cool.
the details for the contest will be unveiled soon. And the question is, can you describe to us in your own words the overall feeling, what the album is, song by song, if you want to talk song by song, and so people can know a little bit better what to expect when they buy the record?
Sure.
Tough question.
Right. No, it's overall feeling. Well, I mean, if I had to describe it to somebody, I guess it would just be, traditional old school death metal brutality. I mean, chock full of riffs, whatever you want to say. Song by song, I mean, some of my favorite songs are The Next Step, Gravebound, Tarantula. It's just to describe it to someone that has never heard anything like it. It's death metal with some thrashy parts thrown in, heavy vocals, but vocals you can understand. Cool killer, old traditional Slayer death type or drumming. Nice. Jeremy kills it on vocals and drums on this one.
Vocals and drums?
Yeah. I never knew that he could sing that way, so I was blown away, actually. Great job. But, yeah, it's just, we're not recreating the will, so to speak. It's just we are putting together some riffs and stuff that we like ourselves and we think that people would like, and that's very catchy, and it's the kind of music we grew up on and that we want to hear.
Okay, perfect. That's
I mean,
that's the perfect description of an old school album. It's old
if
school.
I had to go song by song, it would just be like brutal, awesome,
Okay.
heavy.
Six times.
Yeah.
Great bass.
Yes.
Muito bom.
Fair enough. Portanto, o álbum, como é que ele pode descrever o álbum a quem ainda não o ouviu? Bem, é old school death metal tradicional que podem contar que vão ouvir, cheio de riffs excelentes por todo lado, com excelentes músicos, incluindo ele próprio. Ele não falou dele próprio, mas é verdade que ele toca também muito bem e esteve muito bem na gravação deste álbum, tal como está em Obituary. E se pudesse ir música a música, basicamente eram todas brutais. And okay, so continuing on the record process, I read online when doing some research about the band and the recording and the album that Paul, Cannibal Corpse's drummer, is credited as the writer of a couple of songs on this album.
Yes,
that is correct. Okay, perfect.
Yes,
because I'm a big admirer of Paul and Cannibal Corpse, of course. I think
yes.
we all are.
Absolutely.
And can you tell us how did this collaboration started and happened?
Yeah, I should have mentioned it earlier, and sorry for not doing that. But Paul's a good friend of Jeremy and Taylor, and Paul writes a lot of lyrics for Cannibal Corpse. He's friends with Jeremy and Taylor. He lives near them. So they just threw him a bone one day and said, hey, actually, I think he's doing a project with Taylor, and he heard a few songs, and he's like, hey, would you mind putting some lyrics to one of these songs? So they gave him the song Killing Pace, which at the time didn't have a title. And he said, sure. So he put the lyrics to it, and it's very structured, kind of exactly like Paul does, like he would write for Cannibal. And it's some brutal killer lyrics. So, that's how it came about.
So he just wrote the lyrics, not the song itself?
No, just the lyrics.
Okay, on two songs. Okay.
Because he writes music for Cannibal also, but he also writes a lot of the lyrics for Cannibal. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very familiar thing for him. So he was given a song, and he nailed it, and that's his song. That's his lyrics on that song. So.
Okay, perfect. And is there any other collaboration that you would like to mention?
Just the Rick Ross doing some solos.
Leads,
and Paul doing some lyrics. Yeah.
And the rest of the band.
Yeah. Jeremy and Taylor split doing the lyrics, between the songs that were left over.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Because a lot of it was already done when I came into the band, so to speak. Some of the lyrics were already done and all that. So.
Mm-hmm. Ok. Portanto, a pergunta era sobre algo que eu tinha lido online quando estava a fazer a pesquisa sobre a banda e sobre o álbum, e num site li que o Paul, o baterista de Cannibal Corpse, tinha escrito 2 músicas. O texto não estava muito claro, mas aparentemente ele escreveu apenas as letras, mas ele foi convidado porque ele é muito amigo do Jeremy e do Taylor, e eles convidaram-no para escrever a letra para uma música. Aquilo encaixou que nem uma luva, como diz o ditado, e eles acabaram por fazer mais uma com ele, e daí a origem da colaboração dele neste álbum. Facto curioso. Ivan? Next. Estão a ouvir?
É a tua vez, ô Baldi?
Não, eu acabei de fazer a pergunta.
Acabou de fazer a pergunta? O o que ele percebe assim quando na aceitação dos fãs mais antigos, que a sonoridade é bem Massacre, isso é incontestável. E os fãs antigos eles percebem essa nova banda como uma continuação do Massacre ou um novo projeto, já que os caras vieram do Massacre.
Ivan's question is related to the sound of Inhuman Condition, because it is, as you mentioned, it was supposed to be the new Massacre record, right? So it sounds a lot like Massacre, naturally. So in your point of view, what is the fans' reaction to that? Do they think of the band as a type of continuation of Massacre, or a completely new entity that sounds like Massacre?
I think most of them look at it as like it's a new entity that kind of sounds like Massacre. I mean, in no way have we ever conveyed that we want to be Massacre or trying to take over that.
Yeah.
I wrote the song Inhuman Condition. It's on an EP called Inhuman Condition. You know, the font looks like the Massacre font. All this was done on purpose because all three of us in the band have been in Massacre, and you know, it just seemed like a natural thing. We had Dan Goldsworthy did the artwork, and we wanted it to look like a replica kind of thing, and he nailed it. It's an amazing artwork. So I think most people are going to look at it like it's a band that kind of sounds like Massacre, but it's a new band. Some people might think, oh, you know, they're just ripping Massacre off, blah, blah, blah. But that's not the case at all, because the album actually was written to be a Massacre record. That was taken in mind when they wrote it, you know. Like if you close your eyes, you might be at a Death show or at a Massacre show in 1988. That's what we wanted. That's what they wanted when they wrote it, you know. And of course, you're going to have, you know, you can't please everyone. There's always going to be followers of certain people that no matter what you do, they're going to try to bring you down. But we don't care. We're doing what we do. If someone's offended because they think we're ripping off Massacre, that's their problem, not ours. It's just the way we look at it. You know, we're looking for onwards and upwards and doing what we can, and try to play as many live shows as we can. And this is being treated as a band, not like a one-time side project deal, you know?
Yeah, not a tribute band to Massacre at all.
Yeah, it's not a Massacre tribute band at all.
Yeah, nice. Bem, ele foi bem claro. Ele acha que os fãs pensam que isto não é uma continuação de Massacre, que é basicamente uma banda nova, que obviamente soa como Massacre porque o álbum já estava escrito e a intenção original era precisamente ser o próximo álbum de Massacre, que acabou por não acontecer, e pronto, e o resto é história, e tornou-se no álbum de estreia dos Inhuman Condition. Portanto, ele não está muito preocupado com as ligações, porque as ligações são óbvias. Todos eles fizeram parte de Massacre em alguma parte da história da banda. A intenção de escolher o tipo de letra, a mesma fonte para o logo também foi feito de propósito, porque precisamente por causa da história que eles tinham na banda, e mesmo o artwork e tudo que rodeia a banda é a história deles. Portanto, eles não fizeram nada para o esconder, mas não em nenhum momento tentaram ou vão tentar ser uma banda de tributo a Massacre, e são sim uma entidade própria que pretende seguir o seu caminho, independente do historial que tem com a banda antiga. JK?
Mais uma pergunta aqui, o Barrote. Em estúdio é Power Trio, mas ao vivo os caras adicionaram um baterista. Vai ser quarteto ou em trio tem funcionado em estúdio?
Boa.
Quarteto em estúdio? Vão ser quarteto em estúdio?
Quarteto trio é estúdio, né? Porque o batera também gravou os vocais. E ao vivo ele só assumiu os vocais, não tá na bateria.
Então, e a pergunta é, desculpa lá, mas não percebi.
Se eles vão ficar em quarteto.
Ok. So is it your intention to keep the band as a power trio, let's call it that way, or do you want to add the fourth member as a permanent member?
I mean, I think maybe down the road we're open to the idea of maybe being a fourth member, the drummer, basically. But I think right now we're pretty relaxed and content with it being a three-piece, and we'll hire a drummer here and there, someone that's well known, obviously, to fill in. But to say down the road, I mean, maybe, if this thing gets going and we start taking off, more shows are needed to be played live, then there's a possibility we might just get a touring drummer or maybe someone to join the band. But right now we're just kind of keeping it as it is.
Okay. And do you rehearse often, or?
We yes, when we need to. I mean, when a show's coming up, or we'll rehearse on a pretty good schedule. That's not really a problem, because I live an hour away from them, so it's not hard at all.
Oh, it's close. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Portanto, eles para já pretendem manter-se como trio, e quando os concertos aparecerem e começarem a ser mais regulares, eles têm a intenção de contratar um baterista para tocar com eles, mas terá que ser alguém com um nome bem conhecido na praça, até para não vamos dizer, para não ficar muito diferente da imagem do resto da banda, que são tudo pessoas muito situadas.
Diz para ele chamar o Mike Browning.
Do you want to call Mike Brown to do the drumming?
Hey, you never know. I mean, if
it's possible.
There's a lot of options here in Tampa or Central Florida for drummers. So.
Yeah.
A gente tem uma pergunta aqui do público, Barrote, que tem a ver mais com o Obituary. Eu acho que vai chegar um momento que os compromissos aí vão se, né, das duas bandas vão se encontrar aí, né? E a pergunta do Alisson aqui é mais pro Obituary, né? Se seria o trabalho mais estável do Terry como membro de uma banda, né? Se o companheirismo lá no Obituary é mais evidente, enfim.
Okay. So the question is from one of our viewers. It's right now on the screen in Portuguese. So I'll try to translate it the best I can. So what Wallison is asking is if your work with Obituary is the most stable job that you ever had as a member of the band, and if there is more friendship among the band there than in other bands that you were.
Yeah. Like in Death, I mean, we were, me, Bill, and Chuck were pretty close, and even when Rick was in there, but it was kind of short-lived. I mean, we did a lot of touring, but it was always a lot of drama. 6 Feet Under, I was in the band for 16 years. We did a lot of good shows, did a lot of good stuff. It was pretty stable, but, as the years went by, we started playing less and less shows. But Obituary, I mean, I've known the guys in the band for a long time, and we're like brothers. Truly, I've never seen a band run as professional as Obituary is. Everyone has a voice. Everyone pitches in. Everyone does everything together. And because we're all looking at the same goal. So we're like a really tight, close-knit unit. And, it's the most stable band I've definitely been in. I mean, we look at this as a business, and that's what we're doing. We love playing music. We love playing music for the fans. If it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't even be here. But at the end of the day, we still run it like it's a business. And, that's what supports our families. So Obituary is definitely, it's an amazing band to be in, definitely.
Okay. And is it your intention to do any kind of live stream like Obituary did with Inhuman Condition in the future?
Possibly, but that, a lot of the live stream stuff came out because of the pandemic. So I mean, once the ball gets rolling and the world
There's no more
opens up,
reason for that.
yeah, the world opens back up, so to speak. There's less of a reason to do a live stream, kind of, but I wouldn't rule it out. Maybe, who knows, some kind of special thing in the future, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Let's hope it doesn't happen. So it's a good sign.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It's a good sign for all of us.
Yes.
Ele sim, Obituary é a banda na qual ele teve, eu não diria que gostou mais, mas é a banda que ele sentiu que há um companheirismo maior e que toda a gente tem uma voz, toda a gente tem um objetivo comum. E toda a gente tem algo a dizer e toda a gente ouve o que os outros têm a dizer e além disso também é a banda que obviamente suporta as famílias de cada um, portanto para ele foi muito importante, apesar de todos os projetos por onde ele passou, e talvez o que tenha estado mais tempo tenha sido Six Feet Under, que esteve 16 anos. Mas todos eles foram importantes, incluindo Death, que apesar de todos os dramas que sempre aconteciam à volta da figura do Chuck, ele também não diz nada de mal sobre isso, antes pelo contrário, e gostou muito dessas alturas.
Ainda falando do Obituary, eles gravaram as lives com os álbuns, cara. Como é que foi esse retorno para eles? Quando eles gravaram as lives temáticas,
foi difícil?
De álbum a álbum?
Foi difícil reviver?
The Obituary?
Yes.
Okay, going back to Obituary and the live streams. I was one of them, one of the many people that watched carefully each and every one of them, especially when you played the first 3 albums in their entirety, which was amazing, by the way. And how did you feel like playing those very, very classic albums in their entirety? Because I can imagine that the last time you did that, you probably never did that, playing the entire album all at once.
Yeah. From my perspective, and some of the songs, even for them, the other guys in the band, were never played live ever. So to go in and relearn all the songs that some of them you've never played, we rehearse on those, and then to play them live, in front of no audience, but you had to pretend like there's an audience. We had full production on the Slowly We Rot and the Cause of Death streams, and it was great. It's amazing. Turned out, it looked great. It sounded great, and it was fun to play those songs. Those are the classic albums, the first 3. I mean, that's what set up Obituary's sound. That's what made Obituary popular. That, you know what I mean? So to play those songs, it's always special because that's like the beginning. That's the roots of Obituary. That's what made them who they are. So that was fun to play those. And then we did some of the streams in our studio as well, which was even more intimate because it's like you're rehearsing, and it was definitely a good thing. It was really cool too that the Power Trip guy stopped by. Played a couple songs. So that was cool.
Great. Yeah,
that was good. But it's a unique experience. I mean, obviously, if the pandemic had never happened, most likely we would have never done that. I mean, we've toured and we've done the Slowly We Rot album in its entirety on tour, and Cause of Death too. So who knows? In the future, we might do some of the other albums in their entirety on tour. Yeah, but like we said earlier, hopefully we don't have to do that again, because if we don't have to do that again, that means there's no pandemic. So
that's what we all expect to happen, and never see live streams again. I personally, I don't want to see any more live stream in my life. Maybe
I totally understand.
But can you unveil, if possible, if since we are talking about those particular live streams, if there are any plans on what to do with them, or are they going to be put to rest and that's it?
I can't really say right now what's going to happen with them, but they're not but they're not going to be put to rest. That's all I can say.
Okay, that's okay. That's a sign that something will happen. So it's enough for us.
Yeah, that's all I can tell you.
Okay, nice. JK?
Vamos fazer o sorteio, Barrote. Eu acho que a gente já está aqui no... Batemos 45 minutos, né?
It's time for the draw now, Terry.
All right.
Vamos fazer o sorteio? Galera que está aí, né? Primeiramente tem que estar inscrito no canal. E aqui está a regra da promoção aí. Graças a Rapture Records, que está aí, né? No site. Quem quiser adquirir o CD. Mas os 5 primeiros que enviaram e-mail para heavyculture2020@gmail ganham o CD, e a gente vai abrir o e-mail ao vivo aqui para mostrar que não é marmelada, né? Barrote, aqui no Brasil tem um termo, né? Marmelada, né?
Aqui em Portugal, marmelada é outra coisa.
É outra coisa. Nem vou perguntar, né? Porque
melhor não.
Tem crianças. Eu vou jogar o e-mail. Eu vou jogar o e-mail na tela aqui para a gente divulgar quem ganhou. Deixa eu ver aqui.
A drum roll, please.
Pô, se não chegar 5 e-mails, cara, a pasta tá vazia. Fala pro Opa, deixa eu tirar o... Ixi. Fazer o seguinte, eu vou tirar o compartilhamento. Assim que aparecer os nomes aqui, eu vou...
Ok.
Se não aparecer ninguém...
Senão fica para nós. Sorteio no próximo.
Apareceu aqui, Bernardo Brasil. Salve Heavy Culture. Obrigado, Bernardo, pela audiência. O primeiro ganhador. Tá? Na auditoria final, a gente coloca a tela de todo mundo. Ó, já temos mais Adrião Borges. Eu quero Guilherme Silvano. Guilherme Silvano.
Ô, Guilherme. Guilherme, vou entregar em mãos.
Adrião Borges, Bernardo Brasil. Faltam 2 aí.
Enquanto isso, responde essa pergunta aqui.
Eriquito, 4, mais um.
Mais um.
Dou-lhe uma. Dou-lhe 2. Não vai ter o quarto, não vai ter o quinto. E agora? Ficou 4. Vou mostrar aqui na tela.
Deixa até o final da...
Vamos deixar?
Até o final, hein?
Apareceu, Josimar. Apareceu, fechou.
Okay,
Josimar.
Deixa eu tirar a pergunta.
It looks
aqui.
like we have 5 winners.
All right.
Deixa eu tirar aqui a pergunta.
JK is going to share the screen to show.
Vamos mostrar os ganhadores. Compartilhar. Aqui estão os ganhadores. Dá para ver aí?
Sim.
Josimar Nascimento. Eric Term, nosso querido Eric, Guilherme Silvano, Adrião Borges e Bernardo Brasil são os ganhadores aí da promoção Heavy Culture Inhuman Condition Rapture Records. Muito obrigado aí, pessoal, pela participação e obrigado
óbvio, a Rapture Records, ao Rapture também, ao Gênio.
Isso aí. Agradece aí, Barrote. Terry Butler, um monstro aqui com a gente.
Thank you very much for your time and for answering all our questions. And we hope you had a great time. We sure did, and it was great to finally meet you and talk to you in person.
Thank you for having me, and hopefully I made some sense when I was answering these questions.
yes, of course.
And it's always a pleasure. And I'd like to, thank you guys, thank all the fans for the interest and support. And if you see we're going to be in your town, come to the show. It's going to be a great time.
Yep, I surely will. so make sure you come to Porto too.
I'd love to. I'd love to get there. Brazil too. Yes.
Thank you, Terry. Muito obrigado, Barrote. Obrigado, Ivan.
Valeu, vamos falar da sexta-feira, né?
Isso, dá mensagem aí.
Na próxima sexta-feira, às 20 horas, a gente vai ter uma live com o Darta, da Darta Effects, para quem gosta de pedais aí de guitarra e baixos. Segue a gente lá e na sexta-feira, às 20 horas.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Obrigado, galera.
Se inscreva no canal.
Thank you.
Valeu, obrigado.
Bye.